Welcome to Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am that Shawn. And believe it or not, yes, I am going to get my tooth fixed. I didn't know there were so many different options. Mostly all expensive. So, yeah, I'll be sticking some of my molding pattern material in my mouth and make my own, except it'd be gold or silver. We talked about a grill before. Yeah. I used to think a grill was something you cooked food on. I didn't realize it was something you ate your food with. You know, something that us 60-plus-year-olds, we got to learn this new hip stuff. I'm working on it. All right, so I apologize for last week's show. It was, we lost power on the set. We had a corrupted SD card that things had to be reshot, and then, of course, we had the tragic news of one of our close members of our rock community here with her husband passing away after her son passed away not long ago, Miss Jan. And that was something that's on all of our hearts as some of these comments relate, if not all of them. Since we don't have trivia from last week, we don't have that to do today, so let's get to the comments. The first one being from Miss Jan, who, if you missed last week's show, she lost her beloved husband from cancer, and it was only a couple years ago, I think she lost her 30-year-old son, and yeah, that had to be tough. So, Jan, this is to you directly. I'm going to read your comment in a minute, but what Mr. Anthony says in his comment really reflects a lot about the way I feel about you. So we'll read that after your comment. So, Jan, hi Shawn and the Rockhound family. I decided not to order this week, so the pieces you're holding for 2 days for me, you can let somebody else have them. Thank you. I almost got the sapphire, but I'm still happy with the bracelet you sold me. And I'll wait for that malachite and whatever else strikes my fancy. I appreciate the time you took to read my letters and the tears you held back. You are one of a kind gem. I do love the Russian demantoid with the inclusion, though. I don't need a setting for it, just the gem itself. And when you find one, let me know. Bless you, and more hugs, and another hug. And I do love those hugs. Those, when you can't get them in person, even the word hug gives you the same, in a way, you have a memory. You have a memory of a hug from, you know, like of my son. And he'll say, you know, big hug, Dad. And I can feel that from the memory of it. And yeah, so thank you, and hugs and love back to you, Miss Jan. Mr. Anthony in Massachusetts writes, hello all. When Jan sent comments, I always thought she sounded very kind and humble. Although I don't know you, Jan, and don't know why, but I like hearing Shawn read yours and Dennis's comments. My thoughts and prayers. I like hearing all the Rock family, but there was just something about them. I just wanted to share that. Mr. Anthony. That's kind of a tough one to get through. It mirrors a lot of my own thoughts about you, Jan, because you have been that kind of person, as in all of our community. It seems there's been there's no meanness. There's no meanness in this show. You know, we might be all from different, you know, political arenas, different races, but you know, one thing that we've avoided and never touched on, I've never had to skip over an ugly comment. No, none of that here, and that's special. You don't certainly get that in social media anymore, where it seems to be a Wild West show of how ugly and what's the worst things we can say as you hide behind your computer screen. Yeah. Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania. Hello, Rock family. Sending love and gentle hugs to Jan. You sound like you have found peace with all that you have had to deal with. I am hoping for a good, non-stressful week ahead for all. Look forward to next week's show. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania. Miss Elisa in Florida says, hello, Professor Shawn, the lovely Raven, GSN crew and Rock family. Miss Jan, my sincere condolences to you. I will keep you in my prayers during this time. I wish I could offer you more than just words for support. But I am so glad that you and Dennis were able to bond while watching Shawn's show. That is truly special. Thank you, Shawn and crew, for a great show. My favorite item was the agatized coral that was gorgeous. Take care, Miss Lisa. And, you know, what Jan said in her comment last week about her and Dennis actually becoming closer to one another through watching my show together. 300 shows, 6 years of just doing the podcast, not counting the 9 years on TV. I have never been complimented in a way like that. To actually watch my show and to bring a couple closer together, wow. I can see how that would happen because, you know, Raven and I would easily, you know, bond over our common interest. And we find ourselves caught up watching some of the other GSN shows, you know, some of the gorgeous stuff in jewelry that, you know, you don't see it on this show. I mean, we obviously see it at other shows and we've seen it here in person and pick them up and whatnot, but some of those pieces are just museum quality stuff. And, you know, as another vendor and knowing all the other vendors, you know, I can go and actually pick it up and look at it. The museum. Other than that, you know, you can't touch them in a museum. And there are some amazing, amazing pieces. So, you know, if you want to see amazing things and don't watch the other GSN shows and want to see some beautiful gems that are set in jewelry, you won't find many loose stones anymore, or none of the minerals or anything. All that and only that is in this show. So, but for mounted goods, yeah, some great stuff there. Brad in Pennsylvania says, Dear Shawn, the Raven, the gem shopping staff, and the whole Rock family, I wanted to send a quick note of greetings, but more importantly, convey my condolences to Jan in this time of loss and sorrow. I noticed during the 8/7/23 show that the Arkansas quartz cluster of crystals had horizontal striations on several faces that made it look like Lemurian crystals. Unusual for Arkansas quartz, but I couldn't tell for sure. Any thoughts that the striations add value? We'll talk about that in a minute. I got the fire agate. I've been wanting one ever since the last one you showed. Miss Barbara got the one before I could, but I think this one is better. It's kind of like the further we go in this show, as I had said before, the more that you're going to come across some really neat, unusual, finer items, because I am saving some of the last for the best, or the best for the last, and I had a group of fire agates that I had set aside for my personal collection, and so it would probably make sense that I held out some of the better ones and sold some of the other ones prior to that. Miss Barbara's was extremely nice because it was still in the tail end of this situation. But for the one that I offered, the size versus the weight and the cost, it really is a great deal because of a lot of fire agates. Sometimes you get a belly on them that, you know, the weight is there. I don't actually often charge for that weight. Like in an opal, You know, price per carat. Oh, you can figure the price per carat is so much cheaper, but it might be only a flat, you know, piece of opal with a whole lot of non-precious opal below that. And yet, if, you know, you're paying for a price per carat, much better for it to be, you know, thinner to a point. With agate being so durable, and fire agate is a chalcedony agate, it doesn't have to be thicker for strength like in an opal. So the thickness of that fire agate was plenty thick enough for its strength. So in a price per carat situation, I didn't charge you any more, and you got that large size for it. I do have a couple of fire agates left, but that one overall is probably really the better compared to when I think about the others in that respect. But if you're still looking for a fire agate, just keep watching the shows, because those will probably be sold in time. I need a tooth, right? Yeah. Santa didn't bring me my 2 front teeth for Christmas last year. I guess I was a bad boy. It was a bad year. It really was. So Brad goes on to say, go ahead and show the big zeolites. Miss Gabby will be on travel, so I think you can go ahead and show them. I got the one a couple years ago with the big bow tie that looks like a turkey. Funny that you say that, because we talk about that around here. Something will show up, you know, that we're showing, you know, a mineral specimen, and we'll comment, oh, that looks like this or that, especially cameraman Dave right here. He'll have a big way with it. And then you know what this guy does? He will send me that rock, and he'll add, you know, internet eyes to it, or, you know, do something else guy-like to it. You never know what you're gonna get. And then he often takes a screenshot of me and pretty much does the same. I have a whole collection of his creativities, let's say. But yeah, it's kind of like when we were kids looking up at clouds, how they look like different things. Well, specimens can do that as well. And it's funny how sometimes, you know, these camera guys, all they do is, you know, look at rings and beautiful stuff all day long. This show is his break from looking at rings and looking at something that you can find a turkey in a zeolite specimen. And a recent one with big gyrolites. Oh, you got that big, beautiful plate with gyrolites. Listen to what it says. I had no idea how fantastic the gyrolites fluoresce. Yes, they do. And it happens that Brad collects fluorescent mineral specimens. I don't know if I actually said that as much, but I don't think I really I even sold it on that issue. And you know, it makes me, I don't think I even checked them for fluorescence. So bring me some more gyrolites, he says. Oh, I do have one with some gyrolites. I have to sneak it away from the Raven, but we'll see. Also love the modified Portuguese cut Ceylon sapphire. Keep those coming too. Time for the end of summer specials. In case I don't communicate with you next week, have a happy Labor Day. You know, when I read that about Labor Day, I didn't realize it's like, wow, Labor Day? Are we talking Labor Day already? Is it going to be that quick? And yes, where is August gone? But that's just fine, because here we are baking just like so much the rest of the country. And September doesn't give us any break. We don't get a break here in Georgia until October. Because the end of September can still be as hot as August. And yeah, we're looking forward to a break from that. I have an air conditioning unit that needs some more stuff in it that's really, really expensive. And I just hope I can get by without doing that, because Papa needs a new tooth. Now, we'll address those Lemurians when we're done with the, what is he over there? Dave, I'm seeing him right now. Dave is right over there taking a picture, a screenshot of me. And he's gonna googly eye me up and send it to me in a moment here. I have no doubt. Both of these guys. Oh, we got Latif, yeah. It's not Asif this week, it's Latif. Another smart guy, yeah. We'll just frame it that way. So we'll talk about the Lemurians, and I'll explain what a Lemurian crystal is and teach everybody a little bit about Lemurian. And then you can watch me cry. Something like that. Penny in Quebec. Penny is back. So listen to Penny's story. Hello, Shawn Raven, amazing GSN crew and fellow rockhounds. I hope everyone is well. She writes, oh, Miss Jan, once again, you have my deepest sympathies. And see, she knows, she remembers, once again, referring to her losing her son and now her husband. Your terrible news brought back my pain. The love of my life passed away suddenly. An aneurysm at the brainstem 13 years ago when I was pregnant with Mahali, her son, and my dad passed away 6 months later. It also brought back the many wonderful times we had over the 11 years we were together. I just heard something sent to my phone. All I can say is that I hope you are surrounded by people that love you and will hold your hand to help you through this difficult time. I pray that Dennis will rest in peace, and may that thought bring you comfort. I suspect you may be at the point my brother and I are at. We just want stuff to stop happening. Oh, Miss Penny, you are so right about that. I lost my baby sister 2 years ago, my father 1 year ago, whom I was born on his birthday. So I feel like an orphan, oddly enough, at 62, with no parents. And so much more. The 3 years ago, having COVID, still dealing with COVID symptoms, long COVID symptoms, my tooth, skin issues. The list is so long. The Raven had double pneumonia and was in intensive care a year ago. For 8 days, almost died. Yeah. Mahalis and I were supposed to go to Spain and Greece this summer. Unfortunately, June 25th, my mother suffered a severe stroke. We were dealing with dementia, more advanced than we originally thought, and now we have to contend with 24/7 care. She is back home now because we were hoping that being in her own environment would help her, but to no avail. Even though we are getting some help from the local government agency, it is still too much for us, and she will have to be placed in long-term care once we get a spot. We did manage to go to Greece, as I had some matters to attend to, and it was extremely important to me for Mahali to meet his other uncle, his dad's brother, in person. Despite worrying about my brother and how he was handling everything back home, we did have a great time. Remember, Miss Penny is our Greek expert, and she has a very Greek last name, and has collected, I actually had maybe not quite half a dozen, but when it came down to it, I didn't realize how many specimens I actually had from Greece, which was pretty neat. And she, I think, got pretty much every one of them. I still may run across one. You never know. As I said last week, I just, I don't know, by chance opened a drawer to one of the custom cabinets I had. And I hadn't opened this drawer in a long time. And I started looking kind of underneath some stuff. And I found speaking of dementia, in Perky boxes, don't you laugh over there, Dave, some specimens that are amazing. One, I think, is a calcite with little orange sphalerites. I've got to determine a little bit more about it. And the calcite fluoresces a green-blue. Another, what did I say was one of my favorite crystal specimens, is crocoite, I think, with a pseudomorph. Well, I can't even explain it. You'll just have to wait until I do a little more research on it. And some other, and wow, I don't ever remember these specimens. Remember, I bought estate collections for a long time at my jewelry store because all the other stores and pawn shops and all, anybody that would go to it, they'd say, oh, we only know one person that knows rocks and minerals, would send me all these people. So they'd bring in these boxes of rocks and minerals. I'm in a jewelry store. I don't have time to go through it all, so I kind of give a quick scan and I make an offer. And most every time, all of them were surprised, and never once did they walk back out with a rock. They were surprised at how much I would pay. You know, a pawn shop was going to think, rocks, I'll give you $1, you know, for the box. You know, I don't care about the rock. You know, in other words, no one knew anything about them, so no one had any idea of value. Whereas and here's the downfall of having knowledge in a buying situation. The more knowledge you have, you tend to pay more for the item because you know what it is and you know its value than if you didn't know anything about it at all. Well, your offer is going to be really, really low to cover yourself. You might think it's plastic, fake, glass, whatever. And oftentimes specimens can be that of little to no value. And it would be easy to overpay. So that's where knowledge of value and what an item is, it can be a downfall and you pay too much. But the other part of me was I had to be fair. But when you look through a big box of items and you make a quick offer, there's going to be things you don't even see, or you look at them real close and just, you know, one big number. Years later, because this happens so many times, I have, you guys would love my basement. Well, if you could get through some parts of it. But when it flooded, it got it a little bit more organized, and I got to some other things I hadn't been able to get to in a bit. I have these aluminum, they look like army chests, whatever, that you travel with all your stuff in. Well, these are aluminum, and they're for packing crates, basically, and one little lock on them. And then what was originally in them were, a couple of them were zeolites. Remember that Indian shipment I talked about that all of us went in on to get a shipping container? And there were like 10 or 12 of us dealers that this one person organized. It took a total of a year to get the items, you know, buy them, organize them, the Pakistani dealers in India, and then we finally got them. You know, we have to put our money up, and it takes that long, you know, that goes by boat. But when we did that, the cost of shipping, I realized, often was more than the specimen itself. When we shipped it that way, and we all went in on the whole container, and it was divided up by our, you know, who got what. Oh my, the cost of an item for shipping was so minimal compared to the individual person or dealer that might get a few items at a show or something where all that expensive shipping is built in. It was really still amazing me. So those zeolites, and specifically the scolicites, is what, with other zeolites on it, is what Brad is referring to. I talked on the way to the Raven coming in, and I said, well, I guess I'm going to have to get our dust collectors out, because we actually have one of them, amazing one. It sits in the middle of our dining room table, which of course no one uses their damn dining room table, right? But we have it out for display. But over time, all those little beautiful crystals sticking up act like, well, they also get electrically charged, you know, static electricity, which with dust is like a magnet. So the preparation it takes for me to bring those in is, I clean them amazingly, but it actually washes off quite easy. But you still just kind of have to know how to, you know, wash them, and you know it all washes off. But there is some, you know, it's not like I have them. A couple I did have packed away and never even opened up. Never even opened them. I didn't even know what they looked like. And that was kind of neat, because that was just kind of recently when we opened up some, and this is from years ago. we had enough out because, you know, specimens aren't meant to be put up. They're meant to be out and enjoyed. Oh, let me tell you a little story. So we ran across a scapolite crystal from Tanzania. This is a bicolor, which scapolite is. It can also be fluorescent. A beautiful scapolite crystal. And with a really nice identification tag and everything. The overall cost on it, though, because it was from another source that I had not purchased it, but I had it in an exchange for some equipment. But anyway, I didn't want to accept this crystal for that amount of money that it was being charged against. Long story. But I had it put up to give back on the deal. Even that wasn't good enough for the Raven. She said, oh, we're not going to put that back up. No. She had an exact perfect little place for it with the tag across next to the TV and everything. So she just displayed it out with the other gazillion specimens we have. And I liked that about her. It was like the specimens are meant to be enjoyed. So, same thing with those scolocytes. Except again, they do have to be cleaned from their dust. I wonder, because some of the places that they're found, you know, they have to be found, you know, even if they're found in a pocket, which, you know, of course with the crystals they are, there's still going to be dirt. And there is water is an issue in a lot of areas of India. And the water that it would take to clean these, the way we received them, which is beautifully clean, I just really wonder how they do it. And because I know how much water it takes for me just to get the dust off. So anyway, lots of other stories I could tell you regarding exactly everything involved with that. So no scolocytes or zeolites this week, but I did tell the Raven that I was bringing in, so she could be mentally ready, that some of these specimens that she's had out, like the one on the dining room table, I may be bringing in. That one is amazing. So I'm not sure if, you know, it's like the largest one. It's absolutely museum quality. I'll look at it and see if it might be something that you may not want because of its size or weight. We have a couple of things. I really probably have the greatest collection of scolocytes, or did until I've been selling some of them off, of anyone I know, possibly in the United States. They're just that amazing. So, and gyrolites. That's neat about the gyrolites. So I'll see what we got in gyrolites. I do know there's one right by our door entrance when you walk in, so we'll see about that. Okay, so with Miss Penny, our Greek specialist, sorry to hear about that, Miss Penny, about your mom. And I know in Canada regarding the healthcare system, it's a socialized medicine, which could make it for a long wait, I understand, for medical issues or for maybe a long-term care facility. I hope that is not your case. I hope things work out for the best for you. And thoughts and prayers to you on that. P.S. I finally got caught up on all your shows. Now I'm debating if I buy a few things from you or start paying off slowly but surely the credit card and the trip. Well, I certainly understand financial difficulties I have from the flooded house, from one thing after another, and why you're getting the benefit of these specimens, because you remember we talked about, and then I think it was Miss Barbara that came up with the I have a lot of moles, M-O-L-E, skin issues that need to be taken off. So we joked about I needed mo money, as in mole money, but it was easily shortened to I need mo money. And that's the case. So now Shawn needs mo money and some front teeth, back teeth, several other things. Can't eat a lot of what I used to be able to because of that. So And in regards to your other comment about those rings, I will get those rings now that I know you're back, because I didn't want to have them sent or anything until I knew you were back, Miss Penny. So I will get those. And Miss Penny, remember my story about when people ask, oh, what can I bring you back from a trip? And I always say, bring me back a rock. It's always so easy to do. Well, my short story on that, my son brought a rock back from one of his overseas trips. And, you know, you can often get a little tag, well, not often, because it doesn't happen often, that your bag's been searched by the TSA. And he got one of those tags and on his bag when he got it, and all it says is that your bag's been opened up by the TSA for inspection. And when he saw that, all he did was worry about the rock that he got, because he always takes a picture of where he got the rock too. You know, because you're not supposed to bring back, you know, fruits and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. Well, everybody can bring back a rock. So he was all good. He was all good. It's no problem bringing back a rock, unless it's a rock from the Petrified Wood National Monument in Arizona, which I've been from one end to the other, of course. And yeah, can't pick up any rocks from that place. No, nor would I want to. But they have a board and a case of the letters and the particular rocks that went with the letter. And it's fun just to read the letters of people that had taken a piece of petrified wood from there, and then their life falls apart. All this bad stuff happens to them. In other words, it brings, and you know, of course, they want to, the park wants that actually to be the case, to scare people into not taking any, because you could. I mean, there is petrified wood everywhere. And so the scare is that if you take one of the rocks from there, that bad luck, it'll bring bad luck to your life. So you have these letters, real letters, and they have them up, and the most all of them are handwritten. None of this, you know, and the particular rock, and all the bad things that had happened to them since they picked that rock up. So the park doesn't mind that scare to continue, because it will cut down on people taking rocks, and you shouldn't. If everyone took a rock out of there for as many people every year that go, there wouldn't be many petrified wood things left, unless you do what I did. Just by chance, driving from the airport, going to a show in Tucson, I-10 the interstate, changing drivers with my ex-business partner at now, but at the time, pulled off on the side of the interstate. And at that moment, of course, my partner knows a lot about diamonds, ex-partner, nothing about rocks, very little. And I walked around the car, and as soon as I walked around on the passenger side, I looked down at the ground. Remember, eyes down, as Anthony says, because, you know, the rocks aren't up there, they're down there, gravity. And the highway, the interstate, must have cut right through, and it is. It's a long-ranging, actually, deposit. The petrified wood monument is quite large, but it only covers a portion of the land, and there's petrified wood in a lot of other private areas, and that's where the petrified wood in the market comes from. Well, there is loads of petrified wood right there, and I just, you know, that's in the right-of-way, totally legal, and I just started scooping up pieces as fast as I could along the side of the highway. I could not believe how much petrified wood, nice petrified wood. So that was fun and pretty cool, because you'd have to pay money anywhere else on private land or whatever to do that. So she got a couple rocks, and Miss Penny, to send them to me, all you have to do is address it to Shawn, care of Gem Collectors with Shawn, and just use the regular address that Gem Shopping uses for their other mailings, you know, for like when you return an item or anything like that, the address given to you. So just put it to my name and, you know, care of the show, my show's name. And having been here as long as I have, everybody knows me. Charles in Oregon. And by the way, Miss Penny, thank you so much for thinking of me in regards to getting a rock from Greece, which is a return on my investment in offering you the Greek rocks. That's a nice exchange. That's what's fun actually about tailgate shows, is everyone just swapping rocks. Not much money ever exchanges, but you trade your rock for theirs and work out the deal. Yep. Charles in Oregon, he says, ciao, fellow rockhounds. I am very pleased that I was able to score the pre-formed Burma peridot specimen from a couple weeks ago. I tried to get the last one you offered back in June and was too slow. Thanks for putting another one up for sale. And I did it, Charles. I didn't want to use your name specifically because then no one else would feel like they could buy it. But I am glad that you watched the show quick enough to be able to get that that stone. And I polished a couple more windows into it than I had on it, just so it would become a little bit more visible. So I am glad. And also, if you noticed how I showed the difference and talked about peridot and the difference in color and how iron is the easy influence for the color yellow, and how because of that it is magnetic. So one way to kind of tell maybe a little bit of origin helps you out with that. I can't say that I will finish it anytime soon, but after I learn to cut gemstones, it'll be a great thing to have. Yes, it will, because I tell you what, to be able to actually try to get a piece of Burma facet grade rough in the market, no, you'll get a Chinese stone or an Arizona stone, and it won't be the color. You saw the difference in the color between the two, and it won't be the size. That piece of rough will cut because it's already a preform. So what if it wasn't? How much or how big, how much waste would you have from its original size? So that helped you out too. I want to encourage everyone to be careful when rock hounding in the creeks. They can be very slippery, especially in the summertime, from the extra algae growth. A few days ago, I slipped and fell. I extended my left hand to catch myself, fracturing my wrist in the process. We were a 30-minute hike up the middle of a creek with knee-high water. Wow. On the bright side, we got some beautifully translucent, almost colorless, palm-sized agates from the adventure. Came home with some great jaspers too. Now I get to stay home from work during a 100-degree week-long heat wave here in Oregon, so it's not all bad. Best wishes to all of you. Have a wonderful week. With love, Charles. Love back at you, Charles. And that, Charles makes a good point. I think I mentioned a while back, or a couple of times, because I don't know. The raven has this thing, if you fall, she laughs before she asks you how you are. It's just her thing. Even when her grandmother fell in D.C., she laughed before she asked Grandma how she was. Well, I kind of pick at her about that, but anyway, so I took her to my secret ruby mine that I've told you all about that's near Chunky Gal, but it's actually a shaft mine dated from the 19-teens and the 1900s. And I also showed you some amazing serpentine that I had mined there. Beautiful serpentine, actually, and it's accessible right in the wall. And I think I told you before, where can you go to a place that had not one bit, not even a cigarette bit, but not one bit of any kind of litter, not one spray painted rock? It looked like the miners walked away from there and a human hadn't been back. The tailings are still all around it. A lot of stuff doesn't grow on tailings for different reasons, still kind of the same way. If you know the secret to getting there, it's a really neat place. That's why I have pictures, because you go in the wintertime, of bats on the wall where they hibernate. And so pictures of, just right up against the bats. They won't leave the wall or anything. We don't touch them or disturb them, but you can get a picture right next to the bats. You don't even see them until you see them. So I had to point them out. I said, girls, you're surrounded by bats. No, there's no bats. So when I showed them the first one, and then they started looking, and then they could see them because you know what they're looking for, And so then they realized, and bats are having a tough time with different type of white nose fungus, I think it's called, and so we need our bats unless you like mosquitoes. So it was a neat experience because neither one had been in there. But to get there, you have to cross a creek full of rhodolite garnets, by the way. Yeah, and that's when I talk about the rhodolite garnets, where I talk about how many you can find that might cut a 10-point rhodolite. You know, nothing really big, but when you pan your pan down, you know, garnets are a little bit heavier, so they'll be left in your pan, and you'll see these just like, you know, water tumbled, beautiful garnets, and it's like, where's the original deposit for all these? Probably long ago, washed into the creek and maybe non-existent. So you have to cross this creek, and it's no more than maybe 25 feet wide, and it's no deeper than maybe 1 to 2 feet deep. But unless you want to get your feet wet in the winter, you have to step on these rocks to get across. Well, I went fine. We got our hands full of different equipment. And I went first, and the Raven went second, and Summer, who was maybe 12 or 13 at the time, she was, she's like 23 now. Was last, and I only laughed because she laughs at us. She slipped and fell and went into the water. She kept what she had in her hands dry, both hands, and I was proud of her for that. Got her feet wet. We both heard Summer, because she knows her mom laughs at everyone else. We both laughed, intentional laugh. I could tell that she wasn't hurt, so I didn't have to ask. She didn't get her body wet, because that would have been really kind of cold in the winter. But she did get her feet wet, and she didn't like us laughing at her. I said, well, now you know how it feels when you laugh at other people. And so yes, that is but here's the thing. Now, Charles, he went, well, how deep did he go? Up to his, for 30 minutes, walking in a creek with, at that depth. That's taking a lot of chances. 30-minute hike, knee-high water. Well, the pressure of the water knee-high, I don't know how fast it was going. That can knock you off your feet or make you easily slip anyway. So knee-high, that deep for that long of a time really increases the chance that you are going to slip and fall. If you're just going across a creek, 25, 30 feet, you should be able to make it that far, but the Raven didn't. I told her actually before we came there, I had scanned the comments and saw that. I said, I'm going to tell your story about you crossing that creek today. And but when she got to the mine shaft, and of course she knew we was going there. You know, a true rock hound doesn't complain if you're not really hurt to do that. And just like Charles said, you know, finding the Axes and Jaspers almost really makes it worthwhile, and that's why we do the things we do and take the risks we do, because we are rock hounds and we love the end result or the potential finds that we may find. And even if we don't always find it, if we're in a beautiful place doing it, then that makes it worthwhile too. So, Charles, I hope you heal quickly and everything works out well, because you got to get the stone cutting down and get those hands working well for you. And I did see where you were going to be under a heat wave, and I was telling Raven that you know, a lot of places in Oregon and Washington, it's one of my two favorite places actually, or so the weather is normally such that many places don't even have air conditioners. That may have changed in the last, you know, couple of years with these heat waves that area has gotten, but yeah, so when that happens, it catches a lot of people off guard, and they don't have the air conditioners like we must have here in the South. So, but yeah, Charles, you found a good place to go then. 30-minute hike, well worth it. Hurting that wrist. I mean, someone like me, depending on that would be bad. So, much love to you, and hope you heal well. All right, we don't have any trivia because of last week, so I'm going to start off with just a simple item, and then we're going to talk a little about I have a picture to show you about Lemurian quartz. All right, let's go to the first item of the show, which is, I saw that last week that diamond parcel sold that I showed, finally, but it was so inexpensive when I actually calculated that and what I sold those beautiful, well-matched 10-pointers for. It was a ridiculous price because even in the wholesale market, I could never, ever replace it for even a third, 3 times that amount. All right, look at this. 6 stone diamond parcel. Now, they're on some yellowish cotton because they're actually whiter than what you're seeing. I don't want to take them out because you actually can see them quite well. Look at the clarity. In baguettes, you have to have a clean stone or else the inclusions will really show. These are some beautiful gems. 88 points total weight. They're matching, even though they don't look matching. They all came out of a ring, so they're real close to those dimensions there. And I have a special sale opportunity on these also. Baguettes are more expensive in the market to buy, especially in that clarity. It takes a lot more material, and again, they have to be cleaner or else the inclusions really show compared to the cut of a round stone. I am going to drop the price on these from the price I had, which was a wonderful opportunity, which was only like 300 carats, like $254. Well, how about this? I am going to make those what would be, oh my, I tell you what, I'm going to make those what would be only 200 a carat. So that comes out to 160 and 16, $176. How's that? $176. Wow. 6 stones. 6 stones. And again, an excellent, inexpensive buy that you can use for many, many different things. You know what I often do in a bale? I would put one baguette in like a rabbit ear bale in between that gap. It was always made a nice finishing touch to it. Okay, let's talk about Lemurian. All right, so as you keep looking at that diamond parcel for a moment, I'm going to just chat a minute. So a Lemurian quartz crystal is a quartz crystal with horizontal striations that look, it was described, I saw in one thing, as like a barcode going across the face of the crystal. Now, quartz is hexagonal crystal structure, so there's 6 sides, and it used to be that 3 of the 6 sides would have to have those striations, and there were certain parameters for something to be called Lemurian. Now, the word Lemurian stems from what used to be thought of as a legendary continent or country that had slipped below the ocean between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Hence, the word Lemurian and lemur, the word lemur being associated with Madagascar. So it was like an archipelago, an expanding stretch of islands that connected Africa, Madagascar, and through that region. Well, when they, modern science, or when science determined the fact and the truth about plate tectonics, the thought of there actually having been a disappeared continent fell apart. Not possible. But the word Lemurian carried on, and hence the word lemurs also. A lot of lemurs are banded, but it has more to do with the continent that disappeared. And of course, that is kind of like the Atlantis, except even has less facts to it being so. So, a Lemurian crystal got its name from, There's a lot more to it. There's seed crystals. The legend is complicated. If you want to delve into it, look it up. But it kind of ties in together, the lemurs and everything else. But there is no such truth to the disappearing continent, unless you want to believe that there was. All right. Basically, for a crystal to be called a Lemurian crystal, it used to be three-sided, horizontal, and some other parameters. Now, crystals, they don't have quite the parameters to be called Lemurian as they used to. Now it's a little bit broader and more accepting. So his question was, Brad, in referring to the quartz, and there was also a single quartz crystal I sold as Arkansas quartz. So he wanted to know, Brad says, wouldn't that add value? So he said he noticed that the Arkansas quartz cluster of crystals had horizontal striations on several faces that made it look like Lemurian crystals. Unusual for Arkansas quartz, but I couldn't tell for sure. Any thoughts that the striations add value? Oh my. Well, you know, I hadn't even thought about that, Brad, or that issue until I read what you read, and I specifically know the pieces you're talking about. Yes, Arkansas quartz can have striations across them, and it's not common. Most of the time you find Lemurian crystals in Brazilian material, but I'm going to show you. So I did a little research, and I found a crystal almost identical to that single crystal I sold, I think for, what was it, $12? Let me show you. It was simple to find when I did this. This was just off of Etsy. Let me show you. Here is $190. 212 gram beautiful Arkansas clear quartz crystal from the United States. And you can see the size of it. You can see that the striations going across it this way, and by way of clarity and color, you can see them easily here. And so Arkansas quartz is known for its beautiful white, clear, lack of any other color clarity is one of the things. It, yeah. Does it add value? Well, I didn't think so much, obviously, but yeah. Yeah, Brad caught me out on that one, and $190. Let me show you something else. So I delved not very much further. $266 right here. Lemurian quartz, Arkansas, even a specific mine. You can see it was clear. You can see the horizontal striations on this, but it also has other inclusions, and other pictures have a chipped tip on it, and they said hence the lower price. Great work there, Dave. So this, even though it looks a little bit cleaner, $266. Does it add value? Yes. Did Shawn add the value to it? No, because Shawn gives away his stuff. Thank you. Great camera work there, Dave. Yeah, so there is Lemurian Arkansas quartz. I just, in some of those, like Fodden quartz and things, I don't add value to it. Does the market add value for it? Yes. Should Shawn add value for it? Yes. Does Shawn add value for it? No. And that's, yeah, okay. Okay, Dave. This is what I get from Dave. Okay, yeah. I told him not to make my face so red that was on TV, and look, this is what he did to my face. Yeah, this is what he does, and then he sends it to me while I'm on air. Yes, I had some blushing, and I told him to take that away, but no, he has to take that, and he has to go and make it look like I fell in the creek upside down, and then down the mine shaft, and landed in a pile of red dye. You know, that's my buddies here. That's my friends. That's the people that every week you compliment so much and tell them how great they are. That's what they think of me. Oh, and that's not the first one. Oh, no. Dave has this way of, even after I get home, I don't even get a break. At home, Dave sends me this stuff. We love him nonetheless. Love him nonetheless. All right. As usual, I got to take a moment break. We'll be right back. Okay, so like I said, we're getting down to the end. I had set aside some of these. I tumbled up a batch years ago. I'm talking about, 8, 9, 10 years ago. My friend, I sold a lot of Oro Prado Imperial Topaz crystals from his mine, and I actually have a DVD of the mine, and it's the Bella Vista mine, which even in Portuguese and Spanish, it's almost the same thing, which means beautiful view, basically. So the Bella Vista mine, that'll be in your the information on the description that you get, so you don't have to worry about writing it down right now. And I tumbled up a batch of them. Well, I set aside some that may not be as big as some of the others that I might have tumbled, but they're some of the finest. Let me show you these. There's 12 of them. And look at the this is true Imperial, especially when you have the sherry or that pinkish wine colored mixed in with it. That is the really good stuff. And so look at those gems. These are, in the world of topaz, Imperial topaz, they are absolutely facet grade, especially the real Imperials, the finer color ones. Those two would make some incredible faceted gems. Now, these are worth dumping out here for a moment so you can just ooh and ah over these. And I got to thinking of all the things I need to cut, and I'm still looking for that axonite. I haven't forgot that big, beautiful axonite that I showed you all the preform I did, and I just need to look for it, basically. I just need to look for it. So anyway, I actually found these that I had set aside and found them the other day. I thought, you're not going to have time to facet these. I'm just going to sell them. Look at the clarity to that. Even if you're not a stone cutter, these are tumbled and they can be just displayed and do nothing but enjoy looking at them. Look at these. This is the color that true Imperial should be. Either a really deep golden yellow like you see, not a citrine yellow. It's, a topaz Imperial yellow. And remember, topaz also can be a different color from a different angle. So you can remember that in cutting it. And these longer ones were from crystals that really, if you cut them right, you can get some look at that. Look at the clarity in that. Very few inclusions, or in some of these smaller ones, no inclusions at all. I mean, this is to buy the rough that it would take to have this amount of clarity. In tumbled gems, you don't have to polish a window into a crystal to see where the flaws are. When they're tumbled, you know exactly where they are. So they're like preformed to the best you could ever hope for. Look at that one. I mean, that will cut a nice stone. All right, there's 12 stones. So that they average almost 2 carats each. So, overall, they're not that small in the world of Imperial topaz. Now, you get a lot of people try to call these weak yellow colors, and I hear them say Imperial. And it's like, oh man, that is not Imperial. If that's Imperial, then what do you call something like that, Wow. So anyway, this is one of the last batches from that my friend's mine. And, excuse me, if you were counting and the wrong number, one stuck to the, I was wondering, I thought there was 3 really pink ones. Look at that. Let's add that one to the batch. This, I think, is pretty much completely clean. What a gorgeous color. That one alone, yeah, look at that, would facet a gem worth what the entire parcel would cost, which is, believe it or not, and, oh, again, going back, you know, to buy the rough of material like this, it's, well, if you can even find it, it's, the price would just shock you as how much that they would cost, because they go by what the value of the stone would be worth after it's cut. And yeah, because they don't want to give away something that they could have cut themselves. I don't look at it that way. I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't have a tooth and I need more money. But yeah. Anyway, here's a super deal. If you want it, that parcel, take advantage. When you do the math, it comes out such a bargain, because it's only going to be $88. $88 for them all. You know, so that's what, $4.50 a carat. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter how much a carat is. It's just real inexpensive for what you have there. If I had just the 3 pink imperials and offered those 3 stones for sale for that amount of money, you'd be getting the value. And yeah. I think they're beautiful when they're tumbled like this. Oh, here's, you know, so topaz is a hardness of 8. And I think that's the third one. And so if you polish it with normal tumbling polish, they use what's called lindier or aluminum oxide, which is corundum, which is a hardness of 9. Yeah, see the pink? Now, you may not see the difference in color, so you have to orient your topaz in the right direction to maximize the color. You see the pink in that way, but you turn it that way, and it looks yellow. So, just a tip to you cutters out there. I polished these with that diamond powder I told you I got from Australian Diamonds. This one place in Australian Diamonds. So I bought all the powder they had because it was really inexpensive, and it was natural diamonds, natural ground up Argyle diamonds that were of just industrial grade. Well, I tried to buy more and I could never get any more. I think when I bought everything they had, they realized they were selling it too inexpensively and I could never get it again. Here's the thing. When you use a high grade diamond powder that was not expensive, you can save everything, all the remaining grit. Okay, so let's say if I use diamond to polish a hardness of 8 item, right? So all the slurry that's left over, you can run through a coffee filter, drain the water off, just let the slurry dry, and reuse it. Because then you have still all of your diamond powder. It didn't, you know, lower the hardness of the diamond, right? And then you also have the hardness of 8 topaz slurry mixed in. Well, most everything you always tumble is going to be a quartz hardness, which is 7 or lower, or in that range. So you are just enhancing your polishing capabilities, and you're not wasting that diamond compound. That's how they do it in countries where you have artisanal families. Just you have one little family, they may make their own type of beads from the local material and whatnot, and believe me, nothing ever goes wasted, and it is used and reused and reused. Well, I didn't need to learn and do that from reading about it. It just made sense. Just if you know the hardness, you know, and you are aware of contamination issues because of that, there is nothing wrong with keeping the slurry. It's not contaminated. It's perfectly able, and you're able to reuse the diamond compound. And that's what I have done many times, until pretty much in washing you lose a little bit of the slurry every time, a little bit of the diamonds every time. But you can even save, some of the water. I mean, there's nothing even wrong with that, provided, it's not contaminated. When you filter it out, it is a great way to do it. And coffee filters work great for that. So a little tip on that. Excellent parcel. There won't be another one. So next week, I'm not going to be showing up with another parcel. Since we're talking about diamonds, I have a surprise. 112-9723. 112-9723. And this is the only parcel that I have left. Years ago, I had blue diamonds, of course, that were treated and I still have some of those. Apparently none of you wanted those, but I had some of these white diamonds, and you scooped up every one of them. This is the only parcel. I had saved it for myself because I thought I was going to do something with it, but I, realized all these projects I saved the material for, how in the world was I ever going to think I could do it and use them for all that? So you're getting the benefit of that at my age now, to get in on these incredible items. These are South African diamonds. Now, again, when I bought these from the South African dealer, I bought everything he had. And when I tried to get some more, the price went way up because he realized he was selling them like Shawn sells stuff, too cheap. And I recognized the value and the uniqueness of it. Now, I'm going to put this, and hopefully it's clean, over the top of these, and I'm going to show you. These are actual diamond crystals. There's everything from macles, which are the triangular flat crystals, to bipyramidal, or the octahedral crystals, which are like fluorite or spinel, in this batch. Plus the clarity. These are not frozen spit diamonds, and truly, that's a clarity grade they should actually have, because they cut diamonds, and I wonder why they don't use them for industrial purposes, but they can grow lab-grown diamonds so easily, and they grow them on these plates, and all these little microcrystals grow in a very short amount of time, and then they scrape them off these plates, they grind them to whatever grit they want, and they grow more, and they can. That's why synthetic diamond compounds are so inexpensive. That is what has brought the price of beads, of cabochons, of all these items, because diamond polishes so much faster than the next best thing, that and the price of diamond polishing powder or compounds has come so far down that it has dropped the price of beads. You go to these shows and you wonder, how do they do this? How do they sell an entire strand of beads for $10 or $15? They're drilled, they're polished, they're round, and they're inexpensive. Well, the key to the end of the inexpensive part is the polishing and the speed at which they're polished. And it has been the lab-grown or synthetic diamonds that has caused the drop in that, and really has, you and I have benefited from that in the world of synthetic diamonds. That is one area I can say is a benefit to it. Let me show you if Dave can do his magic. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at these diamond crystals. Look at the clarity. Oh, see the one right there? I'm going to put it right in the, no, I'm going to put it right at the top. Turn it that way. Right there. If I had a third hand, I could point to it. So the one right at the top at 12 o'clock, see the point at the end? That is one of the ones that is pointed at both ends. If I could flip it on its side, you could see that. And look at the clarity. These are clean. There's a mackerel right there, a triangular shape, flat piece, absolutely clean. And all these are natural diamonds. Natural diamonds. I have had these a long time. I've actually had these before they pretty much even came out with synthetic diamonds. Okay, see that reflection? That's going to be my pointer, that reflection that I see from the magnifier. So that reflection is right above another one of, I'm going to put it right over the top of it, right there. Okay, now I'm going to go right above it, right there, another octahedral or bipyramidal, two pyramids base to base. See, as I turn it on its side, there's one right to the right of it, also there, put it right over the top. So look at these. These are awesome. The only parcel I have left. So whoever is going to be the lucky one to get that, there's not going to be any others offered. So get them while you can, because they're not inexpensive. I mean, they are inexpensive. See? Oh my. And yeah, how about this? Let's see. What did I have? Well, I'm going to make them such a deal. $38. $38. And so that is like 50 cents a diamond. And it would be neat if you bought them, and no one else is going to have these. If you wanted to give, like, say, 10 to another friend that enjoys rocks and minerals, and pick out some with the different shapes, use a loop, and they would love it. They would love it. There's nowhere else they're going to find them. And of course, you don't have a lot of money in them, so it makes a great gift-giving idea for you. When you can get things that nobody else is going to be able to find, such unusual items, that is always neat when you can come up with something that someone else is going to wonder, where did you find that? I always think that that's a fun to be able to do that. Let me see. I'm trying to tape my little tape back over the top of my tumbled stones there, so they stay where they're supposed to stay. All right, now let's have a little more fun. Let me show you item 11300023. Now, this was another item I kept along for myself and decided, I'm not going to be able to find the time again to cut these. So if one of you ever cut some of these items I'm talking about, send me a picture, because I would like to see what you did with something that I didn't get to do. And that would be to cut what I'm showing you next. What I'm going to show you next, I'm not sure how it will cut. I'm not sure what it will cut. But I know it's something I haven't really seen before. Look at this. All right, so I saw this one crystal in half. All right, so look at this. All right, when you see this and you're looking at it, all you see is pretty much nothing, right, of value, nothing of anything interesting, except you can tell that it's been, water worn. There's roughly 6 sides to it. So to someone like me, I would probably recognize it as a piece of corundum. I think right there is actually kind of how it went together. And so I wanted to see what it looked like on the inside. I wanted to see also if it could potentially have a star, because elongated like that, you never know. Well, I'm still not really sure about this star, so I saw it in 2. Now, here is one of the things you look for. All right, you see that little reflection going across that face? That is always a helpful hint if you have that as a initial beginning for what you look for. Let me put a little water on there to see if it might star. And that's one of the things. But here is the most interesting thing about it. You might already be able to see it. It's the color. It is the color. Let me show you. And Dave might have to do his magic with his light. All right. Where have you seen a yellow sapphire? Look at that. I think that's just a little surface area that could be either turned around and put on the bottom. That is a yellow, or is it a yellowish bicolor, which I'm going to show you when we look at both halves. It is very distinctly, though, yellow-ish. Look at the little bit of green. Look at that. Now, I didn't take the skin off, the surface area off. All the brown that you see, the oxide, that's only on the surface. That would easily clean up. Let me show you the other half, because there is something pretty magical on one of these halves I saw. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Look at that. This has a yellow and a blue-green. Look at that, if not blue or blue-green. Well, because if you have the blue with the yellow behind it, it would make it green-ish. That's a bicolor. That is, look at the yellow. Look at the strength of the yellow. You would never look at that. What am I doing? Why am I even selling that? Look at the blue. Look at the clarity. It's translucent. Now, it's a cabochon quality. Okay, I don't, you know, there's not faceting in there, I don't think. But it is distinctly bicolor, and it is distinctly yellow, and that is distinctly also a bluish color. And you'll never know the rest, nor do I, until you start cutting it or tumbling it partially. All you have to do is tumble the outside skin off. Look at the strength. So what would that do as a cabochon? I think that would be beautiful. I mean, yeah, included or not, it doesn't matter. The color and the polish, wow. Wow. So you're still, right there is that same blue-green following it from the other half. So that is a neat piece. Thank you, sir. All right, so we'll put those back there. And now we get to the cheap part. Normally it would be an expensive part. No, not with Shawn. It's the cheap part. Yeah, how about this? Yellow, green, African. Now, I say African because I'm not sure if it's really Kenyan or Tanzanian. When it comes to corundum, it could even be from Mozambique. I don't know, right? Somewhere there. African, that's close enough. If you wanted to call it Tanzanian, that would probably be close proximity. If you needed a specific country you wanted to put to it. Price on this, it's 29 carats. How about this? 28 bucks. $28. I mean, one half or the other is going to cut a stone, you know, beyond that in value. And if nothing else, you learn from it. And the fun is, it's like cutting an opal. Like when I discovered that amazing opal inside that piece of potch. You never know what's inside until you cut it and remove the outside. And I bet those opal miners would just die if they saw what I found inside that piece of potch they sold me for, you know, next to nothing. Because again, you're basing your judgment on what on the outside. Now I can kind of imagine what's on the inside of this, and it's why I kept it. Yeah, so definitely potential. Oh my, okay, so this next one is one of the end of summer specials, 112-9823. Actually, Mr. Brad, all these are end of the summer specials. This 112, let me make sure I read that right because my failing eyesight, add that to my list of my ailments. Yeah, 9823, 112-9823. All right. This is a stone we haven't even mentioned in a while. And it's something that this I had recut from a native cut stone into a modified Portuguese cut. Now, we talked last week about what modified means. Modified, in most cases, means that the pavilion is cut to true Portuguese fashion, which in a true Portuguese cut stone, the crown is cut in a similar pattern. But in the case of modified, the crown is usually cut along the same kind of faceting you would do a modern brilliant cut diamond. So let me show you what you get here. How about a yellow cornea pine? I am not kidding you. A Ceylon, Sri Lankan, yellow corner pine. Now I am going to draw the curtain up and show you in all of its beauty. Look at that. Look at the cutting. I think the faceting is amazing. I wish I could say I cut it, but wow. To cut a that many facets on a stone that's 6.5 millimeters is amazing job. A lot of time. Look at that. Look at what you get when you get a modified Portuguese cut. Look at that. That stone just glimmers. Now, a 1 carat diamond is about 6.4 to 6.5 millimeters when properly cut. So this is right at 6.5 millimeters, weighing a carat 18. So that tells you, or tells me, with the specific gravity of the stone, that it is cut spot on. This is a beautiful, clean gem. This is from my own collection. And wow. Look at that. Yeah, no window in that one. And if you want, I'll let you look up the stats on cornea pine. Now remember, a lot of times the first cornea pine you see are those green cat's eye cornea pines. A lot of people didn't even know that cornea pine is anything beyond those green cat's eyes, which are beautiful stones. I don't have any to offer for sale, but they're neat, and they're not that expensive, but the green is just really shockingly green. In the case of these, the facet ones, you're getting something really magical and special. And in that gem, that is a real collector's stone. And even with that cut, that's a cut that you may not even be able to find done if you can find the cornea pine. Even for sale, you probably won't find it this clean or with that cut. And the cut, look at that. Look at that. Makes all the difference. Makes all the difference. If that was just a regular brilliant cut, well, you guys have seen enough. You know the difference that makes. Here is the magical thing about it. It is the price. It is the price. I am offering that gem for only, and it is a true only, especially if you're collecting good stuff. Now, you might be able to find this material a little bit less per carat, but again, for the weight against, as a cutter or as an advanced cutter, you can go by specific gravity, diameter, and just between those two things, and weight, and add the weight. So you'll know whether a stone has been cut properly. And just so you all know, a properly cut diamond in a 1 carat, and I'm talking about, what they call the hearts and arrows, or, 6.4 is really the magic number for a 1 carat to be really properly cut. 6.5 is acceptable if it has, depending on the thickness of the girdle. So that's the other parameter that can be different. You got a really nice cut 6.5 millimeter stone. If you still have a 1 carat and it starts to become 6.3, 6.2, you know, I see at these jewelry stores offering 1 carat diamonds for X price, okay? Color and clarity. What they don't tell you is the diameter. They're selling 6 millimeter diamonds that are 1 carat stones, and they don't tell you the millimeter. Well, a 6 millimeter or 5.9 millimeter technically should be only around 75 to 80 points. Well, if you're going to get the look of a 3/4 carat diamond, why pay the money for a 1 carat? Buy a well-cut 3/4 carat diamond. It'll be the same diameter. You're not going to pay the premium, but what cutters do is they aim for that magic 100 mark. If you have a cutter and he ends up cutting that stone at 99 points, he'll get usually kicked to the corner, because they're going to wonder why he didn't get a 1 carat out of it, because it makes a big difference in how it's sold and the price that the sellers can get if it hits that magic 100 mark. Now, in corner pine and things like that, you don't have that magic number kind of things, but what you still do have is the proper weight for the proper diameter for the stone. And again, to get a Portuguese cut, 6.5, 1.18 carat, all the numbers are in line on that guy, and the price is right, $68. Only $68 on that. Think about how much time it would take to cut that many facets on a stone that's only that diameter. That's a lot of time. It's very easy to overcut one facet, then you have to do the same thing all around it to make it look right. And anyway, that's all the magic to cutting. And there is a lot that it goes on that you don't realize. All right, now let's show you some more goodies here. And if you're a collector, you're going to want something like what I'm going to show you next. This is item 111-8823. 111-8823. How about this? How about root beer? Root beer. And that is the perfect description for the color of what I'm going to show you next. Look at this. This is a stone that you will not recognize by this color, because it's normally not seen in this color. Pakistani Vesuvianite, also sold as Ida Craze in the market. Vesuvianite, named after Mount Vesuvius, where some was originally discovered and named for that locality. And the other thing, it also has calcite and a little bit of clinochlor on it. Clinochlor. Now, clinochlor, also known as chlorite in the market. Now, the root beer color, let me show you just how perfect the description for color that is. All right, look at these crystals. All right, look at that. See? You didn't even see that part of it. Look, that is the calcite crystals on the bottom of that. Now, I didn't check them for fluorescence. They probably do. Most calcite does, but not all. But there's some nice crystals there, and there's some nice clinochlor along with them. And there we go. There is the display side. Look at that. How beautiful is that? Now, let's look at this one. And again, with nice calcite there. And let's look at this color to this beauty right here. And wow, look at that. Now that is root beer. One of my favorite drinks. Dave's also. Look at that. Vesuvianite or Ida Craze, most often you see in the greenish range of colors. Look at that richness to that stone. And it is used as a gemstone also. I have not seen any cut in this color, though. I have seen the green material cut. Look at that. Wonderful. 2 stones to this parcel, so you could always give a rare crystal to somebody. We'll put these down on the turntable. Look at that. Oh, that shows wonderfully. Look at that color in that. That really, very pretty. I also see the dust on the turntable, but that's quite all right. Thank you, sir. All right. Price on these guys. This is the end of the summer sale. How about this? Both of those for only, I don't know, this doesn't seem right, but what the hey? $38. That is a sale price. $38 on both. And again, it's one of those things, if you were going to go try to find some from that location, it would be a trick. It would be a trick. Now, I have something next, and I am glad that that the coral piece I showed last week was recognized as extremely beautiful, because it really, really was. I have 1018. Hold on, let me type this in, because it is 1018721. Enter. Yeah, computers, not my thing. All right, let me show you. Here is a collection of 4 pieces. 4 pieces of coral. Here is, let's see how that went. Something like, I don't know, kind of like a puzzle. I think these 2 went together, or maybe they did it. No, I think they're separate. Anyway, hold on, did I not give the wrong item number? It sure seems like it. That is not the item for what I'm showing you. You're going to want this item too. I thought I had the item number. Hold on. Do I not? That's the wrong item number on there. Wait, I know I have the item number. I know I did, because I pulled it up earlier. The 4 pieces. Well, I will get back to you on that in just a little bit, because you may very well want that, because a couple more pieces went with it. And I will have to look them up. All right, let me tuck those away, since I teased you on those, and I will be right back. Ha-ha, look at this. All right, now, this was so special, not this exact particular one, but this type of, this group of specimens in the 1970s finds. In the 2018 mineralogical record on Mexico Special Issue 8, Roman numeral 8, V111, Volume 49, Number 1. All right, so you can play that back and listen to my voice. This is from the Potosi mine in Santa Eulalia, which has produced stunning specimens. This is beautiful calcite with a base of hematite underneath it, with manganese oxides. These are collector pieces. Collector pieces. This is an end of the summer sale. All right, because my Latif just told me that my price on this was $348. Now, look at these calcite crystals. Stunning calcites on a base, look at this, of hematite. Now, look at that. There is calcites throughout, though, because hematite doesn't quite sparkle like what you're seeing. There's also manganese oxides present, which is going to be some of the darker material. Could be like pyrolusite. Look at that. Look, when you look down in there, let me get that light. I got a special light here that can do just that. And all those beautiful angles and little vugs of crystals. I wish this specimen could talk, because this dates back to a wonderful time of collecting. Look at this. There's additional things here that we're looking at, most likely. There we go. Like this, let me get a pointer here. There's some crystals like in here. If they're not calcites, they could be selenites. But look at the red hematite. Now that's what you're seeing underlying these calcites. When I was doing look at those calcites. My research, that's how I stumbled across. I mean, there's even Mindat, which, by the way, why I don't have some of the other specimens I wanted to show was Mindat site was down this week on the day I was going to do research, and so that was the first time that it ever happened, and I couldn't quite do the research I wanted to, so I wasn't able to bring all the specimens I wanted to. This is a stunning piece, and again, if you look at the mineralogical record number I had, and even in Mindat, you're going to find specimens extremely similar. And this is of a what would be considered a small cabinet, or actually a medium cabinet quality size, certainly by way of quality. Look at the clarity to those calcites, and look at the condition. Collectors are real picky. If anything is bruised or nicked, and you do not see that, calcites are easy for that to happen to. And these are in excellent condition. The entire specimen is, especially this large one. Look at the 3 faces to the termination of that. This is one of those specimens you can look at with magnification or without for hours. See, you have the combination of manganese oxides. This is the black material, along with the iron oxides, which is the hematite. Wow. Now, you don't get the stand with it. It doesn't need it. It is self-displaying with different angles, but certainly a stand never hurts, especially when you don't see the stand. You know, I don't like stands that you end up your eyes going to the stand and not to the specimen. So with this, you just can be propped up like that. You don't see the stand, you see the specimen. So if you want, get something like that, they're available all kinds of places. Okay, I'm going to drop the price on this to only $228. $228, and you're going to get something of historical significance, especially being from the Potosi mine from the 1970s. This was collected in the 1970s. Now remember, I started collecting in 1972. So, you know, I wouldn't have had this during that time, but I had gotten it since, and it has been in my collection for quite some time, and I'm willing to let it find another home. It's an impressive specimen for the money. All right, I gotta get going. I found the number to that coral. Item number 1019321. 1019321. And what I have here, since we were talking about coral earlier, is some very rare Tampa Bay coral. And why I say rare, for one thing, look at the difference between when I've shown you with Lacucci. Now, this is some things that you need to be locking into your memory, the different looks of how the coral looks from the outside to determine what they look like. So I think I told you when I was working at the rock shop, I had to use special gloves when we got in burlap bags Tampa Bay coral from Ballast Point in Tampa Bay. Now, if you go to Ballast Point, there's nothing there. There's no mining. You can't tell any coral was ever taken out. There's a little dock. It's a little kind of park. There's no ability to self-collect, nothing. But when I was working at the rock shop, that was in 1973 and 74. How long ago was that? It was a different world. Ballast Point was able to be mined for coral. And the exterior is the difference of what, how you can really tell. Remember that Withlacoochee piece I think I showed you last week? You could actually see a lot of the coral formation in the hexagonaria shape, the hexagons that look like coral. Well, that's not always the case with the Tampa Bay material. The Tampa Bay material can just look really pockmarked like that. If you get the pieces large enough, they do look like, you know, the stem of the coral. All right, the insides, look at this, also is different. Look at that, you have little druzy. See, it does sparkle. There is druzy. Look at that. And then look at that stalactite, stalagmite type of formation in there. That is unique. So you get that piece. Here is another one. It doesn't go with that one. This is a separate piece. Look at that. And it's all open. It's not like it's all material. And then here is two more. There's 4 pieces to this. Now this, see what I mean? How it's pockmarked on the exterior? It's really coarse. I had to wear thick gloves picking up this material. It is easy to cut yourself on it. The Withlacoochee material, not like that. If you gotta have a flat lap, you could polish that. Look at the quartz. This is quartz crystals on the inside of that. Beautiful. Here is another separate piece, not polished, beautiful quartz to it. But again, look at how sharp the exterior is of this material. Looks totally different than the other Florida coral from the Withlacoochee or the Shawnee River, which is on the Florida-Georgia border. All 4 of these pieces, guess what? $38. Only $38 from a location that is what they call now extinct. Yeah, when a mine closes, it doesn't say closed or not available, it's called extinct. And Ballast Point is extinct for mining. Done, over with. That's it. So, yeah, for that kind of money in 4 pieces, get it while you can, or else you won't be able to. Let me show you something else. Item 112-0023. 112-0023. Look at this. All right, what do we have? As I show you right here. Look at that. Look at that. Have fun with a bag of garnet. Beautiful. Almandine garnet, cutting rough and tumbling material. Oh, here we go. This is, yeah, I can't believe no one got this one. This is with a bonus, and I showed you with the magnet how it wasn't attracted to this piece as much because it's rhodolite. Look at the color. Rhodolite. And rhodolite is part pyrope garnet, which is a magnesium garnet. Look at the clarity of some of that. So this is a really neat specimen piece and a learning piece to have on file so that you can, with a magnet, be able to, you know, use it kind of as a tell, as a, wow, that's kind of beautiful. So anyway, this whole entire bag, 45 carats, was only $9 and no one got it. All right, summer sale, $8. Will that make the difference for you? Will you feel a little better? We're gonna make that $8. I don't think I can go much less than that. So anyway, well, let's go with that. All right, now, next, let's do this because these are gonna become extinct. And for the ones I have, 111-3423, 111-3423. And I had, at one time, an amazing collection of aquamarines from Orongo and from Gilgit, Pakistan. And that collection is not the size it was because I have offered them all to you guys. But I have a couple pieces left, and this is one I am offering on a summer special sale. Check this out. Look at this. Beautiful material. Natural color, remember, almost, you know, and I have told you how I have heat treated thousands of carats of aquamarine, of cut aquamarine. Yep. And I have seen it go from the beautiful greenish blue to just blue. Just knocks the iron Fe2 to Fe3 plus and changes the, well, we will get into the technicalities of the F center for color and why it does that, but it does. It changes the color by just changing the valence. But look at that, wonderful irises in this. And then some of these will have incredible etching. It's not broken, it'll be etched, and then other material fills often in and will grow there. That may be a calcite formation, maybe some feldspar. This is one you can always, oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay, 3 sides. That, all right, that's going to be my, one of my trivia questions today. I'm going to ask what crystal would have grown and penetrated that and would have been coming out of that is found with aqua. So you have to think about that, all right? So we'll come back to that at trivia, giving you just a first look at that. Now, that makes that crystal, to me, additional value. Not necessarily money, but collector value, because it makes it more unique. It is adds another geological element to it, in my opinion. So I like that. Natural color, Namibian, remember? And how's this grab you for a summer sale price in aqua like that? Let's make that one only $58. $58. Not that they're sold by carat, but if it was, that would be less than $1 carat. You go to a show and try to find that for $58 in an aquamarine crystal that big, not a chance. Not going to happen. Okay, let's look at the last I have, 112, 1823. 112, 1823. These are rare. What a rare Brazilian goshenite. Only have 2 parcels left of this material. Look at this, goshenite, which is clear beryl in its pure form. Okay, goshenite does not have color. Does not have color. Beryl is allochromatic, meaning that emerald, all the family, beryl family, whether it's golden beryl, whether it's an emerald, or whether it's aquamarine, all of it gets its color from impurities in the chemical makeup of it, not from its chemical composition itself. Like malachite gets its color from being a copper carbonate, not from another impurity. It actually gets its color from its chemical composition. But allochromatic gems get their color from outside impurities. Look at those. You cannot see any blue. That is just really, really clear white material. Price on these, summer sale. Last 2 I have, I'm going to make them only $24 a parcel. $24 a parcel. 2 left. 2 left. Only $24 for all of that. For all of that faceted material. Look at that. That is crazy, actually. $24. 12 stones in each. Only $2 a stone. Where are you going to find clear goshenite? That many of them matched. Wow. Wow. Indeed. Now, oh, here, let's look at this since I showed you that. If you were collecting coral, 112, 4923. 112, 4923, that really fine one I showed last week that was from my personal collection. You know, that coral last week, that one I had, the both halves, it has, make sure you put a black light on it. It has a stunning chalcedony fluorescence all the way around the edge of the opening, right? Only along the edge. Now, this will show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right, with Lacucci coral. Did I give you the number, Latif? Item 112, 4923. Oops, did I already scan that? Yeah. Okay, with Lacucci River coral. So with Lacucci River and the Swanee River, they run back and forth across the border between Georgia and Florida. Most of the material is in Florida. Look at that. All right. You see the difference between the exteriors? That looks like coral. This does not. Coral, no coral. And I can pick up any one of these pieces. You would stop and look at this. You would not stop on the beach and look at that. You might step on it, scream, and then worry about the blood coming out of your foot before you would look at what that is. On this, you wouldn't cut yourself. You'd say, oh, that's a nice piece of rock. It looks just like a coral. But little would you know that if you sawed it open, look at the inside. Look at that. Wow. Remember, Florida was once all underwater. And when it was, coral formations formed. Later, the seas receded and the river formed, cutting across the coral, where the coral was buried underneath the sand. The silica from the sand changed the coral, replaced the molecules as agate and quartz or some calcite. And then when the river cut through down to where the coral heads were, well, they started discovering it. And I got these from the actual guy that mined them and polished them himself, John. He has passed on, but a amazing, amazing person who had a grandfather in claim to the area of the river he was mining or collecting from, because he had to use a houseboat, not a houseboat, but a pontoon boat with a, for the bigger ones, cranes on it, all kinds of cool stuff. Neat setup. I was jealous. But happy that I knew the guy that actually had the rights to it. Price on this guy, let's see, summer sale. Let's make it only $44. Only $44 on that one. Wow, time is going to run away from me. Oh, wow, let's see. Many things behind me I wanted to show you. Let me get in this item. It is going to be item 8. Let's see. This one is a popular item. I only have 3 left. 952120. 952120. And I have 3 of these left. I'm going to show you the only 3 I have. I had sold these some time ago, and I kept some out for myself. And I'm offering them now for sale because that's what I do. I sell good things that I want to keep for myself. These are so cool. All right, now, they have, this is selenite. Selenite, you're familiar with selenite. Remember I showed you spheres, I sold you selenite crystals and all. And then these, look at this, are on an orthoceras and gunneotite, which are the little round ammonite. So here's the orthoceras, which is a like a belemnite. It's a still belongs to the cephalopod family. And then the round goniotites are an earlier form of the ammonite. These date, the fossil dates back 400 million years. The selenite is from Mexico, from Chihuahua. No, it's from the Chihuahua area, the big selenite producing areas of Mexico. And all right, so I'm just going to spin these around quickly. Each one you can see they're similar to each other. It looks like almost wax the way this comes down. But what I'm going to show you, the neatest part about these in a moment, is I think I kept also some out for the booth. See, this is a secondary crystal, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a internal crystal. Look at that. See, when you turn them, look at that. So that's the cat's eye part of it. The other part, remember in selenite, in those spheres, how you can see through it? You turn it at the right angle, you get that angle, you can see through it. Let me show you. Here's the neat part. Look at this. They're drilled open. So you know you can put those little electric candles. You can buy them with a battery. They look great in there because, let me show you. I'm just going to take this one randomly. And when you put a light in here, there you go. Thank you, Dave. Look at that. Look how it lights. Oh, look at that. You can see the other growth of the crystals in there. I had never done that before. Look at that. Well, that makes that pattern on the outside all the more desirable. Wow. I'm kind of wondering not if some calcite or something grew in there. Let me look at this one for a moment. Now, see, now that's what happens. I spend my time, I get on another track here. Look at that. There is other goodies in here. Anyway, let me look at this last one so you can see all of them. Only fair. Oh, wow. I'm such a kid. Thank you, sir. Okay, so there we go. Last three I have. Summer sale price. I don't know. With this and everything at the bottom, I don't know how I can do this, but I am anyway. I'm going to offer those for only $28 a piece. $28 each. Only three I have. Get them. Get them before I don't have those. I won't be getting any more. Leave it that way. All right, here is a rare item. 108-2522. 108-2522. When these were, this material was discovered, this color, if that's what I'm thinking it is, had never been found before. And I saved one of the best pieces for myself. And let me show you. Look at this. If you want one of the finest examples of brucite, here it is, of the good stuff. Now, there was facet grade material. I sold a lot of wonderful faceted pieces that are still going for big money. This is the kind of quality it took to facet them. Brucite was always a not yellow. It was a bluish or grayish color, but it was only found in Chiasophila. It's a magnesium hydroxide. This one is bicolor with the white and the yellow. Look at the strength of that yellow. I mean, that is gorgeous. And you can see why it's quality good enough. The faceted stones were never totally crystal clear. They were always had, kind of like a rose quartz color look to them. You can see these are crystals. It's like a pearl-escent surface to it. This is a stunning piece because it self-displays in so many different angles. And I loved that different formation like it. Look at that. This is one that you could see different critters in it, probably if you wanted to. This is exceptional. I will put this on a summer sale price, which I shouldn't because it's never going to be replaceable for this. I'm going to offer that for only $68. $68. Brucite. Try to find another one that beautiful for that kind of opportunity. And yeah, I don't think you will. We only have moments, but let me, I can't believe none of you got those slices. I'm not going to show those now. Those will be at another time. Oh, back here. Yep. And that kyanite, that fluorite that I have, let me give you a chance. Oh, here, this one. This is the one. Here is, yeah, Fort Drum, I believe. Here we go. It is item 102, 2921. 102, 2921. And let's go back to Florida. Fort Drum, Florida. You know, in Florida, there's only so many different minerals you can collect. It's not like some other places. And, but they have unusual items, what they do have. And this is one of them. Check this out. Look at this Fort Drum clam. This is a fossilized clamshell. It's 1 to 2 million years old. I have the name. It's from Ruck's Pit. That's the famous mining area for digging these. And this is a whole clam. Now, you also have fossilized oyster shell that you find around here. And look at all these other fossils, layers of clams. Look at this. This is entirely full of fossils. What I liked about this was the clamshell is completely there and visible. Look at the calcite crystals. That's what it's famous for, is calcite crystals growing inside or replacing the clamshell. Now, are there calcite crystals inside there? There could be. I don't know. You would have to kind of destroy the piece almost. It looks very attractive just the way it is. There are calcites right there. So, look at those beautiful yellow calcite crystals. Wow. Some white there also. And then look at these other formations. Wow. That doesn't come with a stand, but you can easily find one. It does display beautifully. Look at that. That is a cabinet-size quality piece. I have this on a summer sale price. How about this? You're going to love it. $44. Only $44. Looks like we have time for one last item of the show. Sorry, Dave. One more. And even though there could be so many more items I wanted to show, but that will have to wait another day. We'll get kind of seeing what I can find here real quick. So many choices makes it so much harder. Yeah, this one. Because this one, all right. Item 112, 1623. Now, I was shocked. I have shown this, and no one took advantage of it. Moss on snow, Burma jadeite. This was from my personal collection of jadeite. I've been to Burma. Look at this. Look at this piece. And that's a great backdrop for it, actually. Moss on snow. This is some of the finest quality color. That's imperial jadeite, the green, right there. Now, this is a dragon. And you can see the dragon. It is, let me show you the other side. Look at all that imperial color jadeite. This is the one I wanted to see if I could find a bat on it, because there often are bats associated in the carvings, and they're often well hidden. But here's the dragon, in case you can't see the dragon. Once you see it, you know where what it is. So here's the dragon's head and the mouth, and double-sided. That takes a lot to do that. So here's the dragon, here's its mouth right there, here's the head coming down, and here's the foot on the pearl that is often depicted with. Oh yeah, there it is. It does have a bat. And this is the way they see those two dots right there, and that is often the way the bat is depicted. And why they carve a bat, yep, it's over here too, is because the word foo is what they call a homophone. It's the same word for prosperity or money as bat. Just like we have bat for the animal that flies, or a bat as in baseball bat. We have those words too. In Chinese, the word is fu, and they have the same thing, and it means the bat or money. So often in their carvings, it is incorporated. A wonderful piece. It's already drilled, ready to go. I have got this now on a summer sale price, last item of the show, and I'm just going to make it so inexpensive, it'd be crazy not to get it. How about this? $48. $48. A beautiful estate piece. Look how big that is. All right, last item of the show, and I'll be right back with trivia. All right, it is trivia time. We didn't do it last week, so we have two questions. One is just the verbal. The second one, well, you already know what that is because I said what it was going to be, but I'll show you the aquamarine again. So question number one, here it is. What is the name used for a gemstone that its color is from an impurity? So when a gemstone has color and gets its color, not necessarily any specific one, but a color from another impurity in its chemical composition, what is the word used for that property? So the property being deriving color from an outside impurity. There is a name given to that process, that type of gemstone. So when a gemstone, again, gets its color from an outside element entering into its regular chemical formula, what is the word used for that type of occurrence or gemstone? And that is a word you need to know. It really is. It's important. It's important. So remember the rules. You can initially, up to the point of the trivia, watch the show as many times as you want. But when it's trivia time, then can't go back and replay or anything. This way, I just want you to watch the show, not only for the fun, but also for the learning. And, that's what the professor does, right? Try to teach you something that you don't know and teach it in a way that you might remember it. But if not, give it a shot anyway. There's no truly wrong answer. The only wrong answer is not answering at all, because then you're not taking a chance on winning something really spectacular, which the trivia gifts are pretty sometimes spectacular. Now, question number 2, you already know. Let's show you the aquamarine again. All right, so in this aqua crystal, you can see there is a very distinct triangular shaped indentation. Now that would have been formed by a penetration of another type of gem or mineral that is commonly associated with aquamarine, no matter where the aqua actually is from. In pegmatites is how aquamarines form, and it's a common mineral in pegmatites. That's why the association of the two is common, and why it makes a great question. What is the gem or mineral that formed that indentation? And you can see it's well-defined triangular shape. Okay, so that wraps up the show. Hopefully next week we'll be able to get in a little bit more time and be able to show you a few more items, and maybe be able to get to those pieces that even for the professor are going to take a little more studying to be able to give you the full amount of information. You know, so far I've done the Geiger counter on them. I have done the fluorescence on them. And I really can't wait to show you. I almost was going to show you before I figured everything out. I said, no, because I was going to get, other opinions and see if anyone else could do some homework on it. But no, I'm going to only show them when I know exactly for sure what they are. And that part is fun for me, even though it takes a tremendous amount of time. But that kind of time is the fun time. That's where I get to sit and look at a specimen for hours and research it. And at, by the time you're my age and been doing this for 52 years, 51 years, 2 years, it's things like on a higher level, on a higher plane that, make it really exciting for me. So when I found those specimens and looked at them and realized I didn't exactly know all about them just on first glance, that's a rare thing to happen, and makes for a challenging situation for me. But I don't want to bring them to you until I can, like that calcite specimen from the Potosi mine, and on the hematite. I had that specimen, and it only took some intense research because it didn't fit in with the calcites from, Reynolds County in Missouri, or the calcites from Tennessee, and I said, well, this is something different. And when it fluoresced, that bluish green color, I thought, let me do a little more research on that. And then the sphalerite, if they're sphalerites, that doesn't quite look right. So I'm excited about finishing that up and doing that as well, and some of the other goodies, and bring them to you. So hope you enjoyed the show. You know what? I was watching something else on one of the another podcast, and it was actually a podcast on mining and how they mine amylite and ammonite, and it showed them and how they did that. And I didn't really realize how many of those bigger specimens are actually pieced together. So anyway, maybe I'll talk about that at some point if I have something relative to it to tell you what I learned. But in the process of that, the guy says, don't forget to, give me a thumbs up and, subscribe or something like that. So, I don't know. Am I supposed to do that? I'm going to do it. Be the first time in 6 years and 300 shows that I am going to say, check the, is it thumbs up button? Click the thumbs up button and subscribe. I guess that's what I'm supposed to say. So, there you go. First time in 6 years. You can see that I'm not a podcaster or doing it for any other reason, but the sheer joy that it brings me to share all of this with all of you. God bless you all. Stay safe. Love one another as I love all of you, and as I thank all of you for all your support over all this time. and support for all of those that are grieving, whether they're in Hawaii or in our own neighbor or in and amongst our own rock and gem family. God bless, and I'll see you next Monday. Take care.